This episode and just the escalation mirroring episode 1 of part 2 here. Quality. But I have to admit, I didn't expect the Beast Titan to look as good as it did. If you watched my first episode review of part 2, I was very much excited about how much more improved the CG blend with 2D was. But the Beast Titan just... to see so much of it hand-drawn, the fact that they put in so much time and effort into this moment of basically Eren, had Zeke not popped up there, there's a very good argument to be made he would have died there because he was so winded. He can only use the Warhammer spike so often. Even literally the last wielder of the Warhammer Titan was arguably a master of using that ability, could only use it a couple dozen times or a dozen times, 6 times, however many it was, right? So for Eren to finally use it, right? And to be fighting for his life, getting shot in the head, regenerating, and having to move forward, it's not an easy thing. He was doing a great job. There was so many times Reiner looked like he was about to win, and from Eren grabbing from the mouth in and almost like ripping the skull apart to just the kind of like last resort spikes in the air. But when Zeke comes in and does his signature move, the move that used to be so terrifying for Eren and company, because when he crushes up a rock and throws it with that monkey arm of his, that's literally, it's like getting a giant machine gun fired at you. It's as if, Jack and the Beanstalk, the giant had a machine gun shooting down at Jack when he stole the egg. That's basically what Zeke was. But to have that be arguably an ally in this situation, but it's a conflicting feeling, right? Do you root for Eren? Do you not root for Eren? What's Eren's true objective? Does he agree with Zeke? Does he not agree with Zeke? Hell, the characters, even Armin himself, he doesn't even completely believe what he's saying, but he's just hoping it's true. So to see that type of tension and how, just like in last week's episode, probably questioning, who do I root for? And there was moments in this episode, I was cheering for Reiner because he just did something that was that cool. But then when Eren comes back swinging, it's hard not to be like, God damn, you're a Jaegerist at this point. What I really love, though, is probably the tactics in this episode. I think the Cart Titan is without doubt one of the most big brain moves the show has seen to date. The idea of when you see just the skeleton and then obviously the anti-Titan rifle, the big ass cannon that's on there, you naturally are going to look at that and be like, oh, someone killed it. And I love how when the soldiers are like, yeah, you guys did a great job. We didn't kill it. Wait, we thought you killed it. No, we thought you killed it. And then you see the general take aim because they can't move the thing. It's basically a one-shot, hopefully one-shot kill, because otherwise, you have to transform, put the cannon back on, you're not going to get another moment like that. So to see Zeke get his neck just sniped and then the interior shot, and then to see him fall down. These are the cliffhangers that as a manga reader were brutal because they would end and you would wait a month. The anime, you get a week's time. But man, those cliffhangers in the manga, you understood where the fan theories came from because there was just so much longer to sit on it, and you didn't have trailers like you do in this anime where you get a little taste of where it might go. But just every moment from the action to being amazingly animated. The Jaw Titan still, I feel like, maybe one of Mappa's favorite Titans to animate, which is no surprise because most of the Titans are kind of stationary. They walk like a human, where the Jaw Titan is jumping around like a monkey. And then just the moments when he's about to attack Eren and then he just gets annihilated by the rocks. So many cool shots. I think my favorite point in this episode was actually what happened with Falco when, basically this episode and this arc in general is all about just what war does to society and how, depending on where you're raised and what you're taught, it's very much going to warp your perception on reality. Gabby is one of the best examples. She was taught that they're devils, that, Paradise Island is devils and they should be put 6 feet under, if not 1,000 feet under. And in this episode, Gabby comes to pretty much the same conclusion that Reiner did, which is what ultimately broke Reiner. He was sent on a mission to destroy the walls and ended up becoming friends with people that he was sworn to be enemies with. And to see Gabby come to that same realization that, they're not devils, they're people like us. There's people she hates on this island, but people like Sasha, she recognizes, had a normal family that she would have been happy to be born into. And to see just that realization as in Falco gets saved because ultimately, even if soldiers are, face to face with who are their enemies, when you're sitting in a cell together, especially when that enemy is a kid, not many people are going to wish harm on a kid. And the fact that when he spots his brother, instead of being this violent moment like, oh my god, he accidentally gets killed, because you knew he was just going to let him go. Even initially reading it, I was like, it's clear that he doesn't want Falco to die, or at the very least wants a chance to let the kid go home. because he's a family man himself, and to just see that pass, and the reason there was no gunfire or violence was actually because Gabby pulled the gun back. I mean, that entire situation is just peak character development, and I love seeing that. Even the simple moments of like Falco admitting his love, the fact that he just didn't want someone he cared for to be tasked with being a Titan shifter, having a shortened life, or potentially getting killed on the battlefield. It's all those little moments where it's not just simply painted on Eren walking towards Zeke. It's not just simply, okay, here's the Titan squad trying to kill Eren. It's just war. I mean, there's conflicting feelings on both sides, and you don't quite know which side winning would be for the best. And I think the common theme for like characters like Armin saying like, you know, I believe Eren's in control, but you can tell there's doubt in his eyes. You have Mikasa very much probably wishing she could believe what Armin's saying, but why do I have these headaches? Why would Eren lie about that? Armin's saying that's probably the only lie you could think of. Pick each side and say either one would make sense. But I mean, put yourself in their shoes, especially for Mikasa, someone who's loved Eren forever, literally the person who saved her. Why would he hate me as you're also fighting for your life and being held prisoner? And the fact that she left the scarf behind, the thing that Eren wrapped around her neck, promising to keep her safe, she left that behind to go on the battlefield. One of the biggest moments to date, or even Gabby ripping off the armband that she so proudly used to wear, but ripping it off Falco because that's not who they are anymore. All those little moments build up into such a great episode, and still the pacing remaining to be pretty damn tight. I think they just finished chapter 118, like they're not rushing through this. I really thought before part 2 dropped that, you know, what we had in episode 1 and 2 would have been mostly an episode, maybe an episode at half at best, but damn, Mappa's taken their time, and that's why I'm really excited to see how the later portions of this arc are gonna go with part 2, and then ultimately whatever they decide to do, whether that's a part 3 or a movie. But the only other thing I really want to touch upon is probably one of the creepiest moments in terms of facial reactions, and that is this image right here, when Armin's basically saying, hey, you know, we have to protect Eren, we have to be like the Jaegers, and you see the creepiest face before switching to the I believe you. That shit gave me nightmares in the manga, and somehow Mappa, I think it's just because of the shading and the extra little colors that are there, just really kind of made me almost shit my pants. Like, that was spooky. I mean, I love Attack on Titan, and it's great to see just how much buzz this season is continuing to get. I actually think there's a lot more positivity this time around. Maybe it's because people are hating on Cloverworks for their studio that they need to criticize overly much. I mean, last year was Mappa, this year it seems to be Cloverworks. Who knows what 2023 will look like when it comes to which studio the anime fandom hates that year. But still, it feels like there's a lot more excitement for this part. And I think it's just because, like, we really are in the end battle now. I mean, Zeke walking or kind of like guarding Eren as Eren is limping towards him. What's going to happen when they come into contact? Who's going to be in control? There's all these questions. And it just feels exciting as much as it feels terrifying. And Attack on Titan's never been better. I'm so glad to see how Mappa's been handling it, because I was actually a big skeptic before part 1 dropped. I was worried because it's almost like seeing a different studio other than Ufotable do Demon Slayer, but I love how Mappa's done it. It really feels like it has its identity while staying true to the same formula that Wit laid out. But thoughts and feelings on this episode. Definitely really interested to hear anime-only perspective. Please keep the spoilers to a minimum, talk about what's happened and maybe how you felt when initially reading, but let the anime-onlys have their fun, because this is the craziest shit in anime in my opinion, so let them have some fun. Let me know how you're feeling though down below, leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.